Yes, everyone, what's going on? My name is Stephen Howson. Those aren't the stats from today, though, kid. There we go, that's a bit better, isn't it? Thank you guys for joining us. United have beaten Reading 2-0 in the FA Cup. Little bit of a disappointing performance, I have to say. I wasn't super impressed with the performance today. But we are fun, and ultimately this is all that matters, isn't it? That we are in the hat for the next round. And Ole hit 5 out of 5. Now, it was a free hit at 5. We was all like, that's 5 winnable games. But to actually, Derby was a winnable game. You know, there's Watford and Wolves and all of these games were winnable games, but we didn't fucking win them. The difference that we've done under Ole is 5 for 5. Mint. Just mint. Yeah. Just leave it at that. Mint. Absolutely mint. Happy with that?
I'm happy with the
Alright, let's leave it at that then. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. There's not really a lot worth analysing out of that today. We have got the average position. I'm interested to see how that looks actually, because let's have a gander at that. A little bit skewed by Mata's central position, I guess. He did move into that number 10 spot. Lukaku not as advanced as you'd hope. Look at the difference there when Marcus came on, how advanced Marcus was. And obviously, even though he was quite narrow, quite deep, Chong when he came on, and he did actually come on. I think that's one positive we can pull out from today. Yeah. Chong coming on, even though he was deep, he was on the pitch, and that's a massive bonus. I thought Phil Jones looked decent, and that was probably it. To be honest, it was a pretty ordinary performance from everyone, wasn't it?
I think it was like, even the Sir Alex and when times have gone well for us, you get these cup games where you just got to chuck a couple of players on the pitch who aren't sometimes good enough. I think we just had too many of them today. For me, that back four, we had a chat about it on Devils earlier, like none of those are starting week in, week out for Manchester United. Now, Darmian cleaned up pretty well at times, but other than that back four was just shaky, even Jones again.
Let's have a look at the average passes. I'd be interested to see how that looks, to be honest with you. So you've got Phil Jones going there from Fred and Fred into Pereira, but again, it's nothing going forward from the midfield, and I thought that was something I was seeing during the game actually, that I wasn't seeing the midfield dominate that game. I thought, now I've seen Dave's tweeted out a lot of the stats there that Fred pulled up. I thought Fred was awful, and people go like, "Oh, defending the youth because you think Fred's awful." Do you know what? I didn't see anybody. Calling Pereira or McTominay the best player on the pitch, which I actually saw people saying with Fred. Really don't understand that. I thought he was very wasteful in possession, wanted a lot of time, didn't seem on the right page with it. But again, I'm not going to judge him too harshly over this at the moment. I think there's probably a little bit of time for him to come in and do something. We allowed Reading more possession than us.
Yeah, it was a bit. I think that says a lot about having your Scott McTominays and Fellaini, and they're not going to press for you. You spoke about Mata as well. He's not going to press for you. And I think a lot of our game is winning the ball back and then playing it into the likes of Paul Pogba, Herrera or Matic. And I think who've retained the ball really well in the previous games. Whilst as you got McTominay, just like Fred, takes a touch, gets away from him.
Saw a lot of safe balls, and I don't mean that in a positive sense either, from McTominay. I thought he didn't try and... What I've noticed, even with Herrera and Matic in the last 4 games, is that they've actually been trying to beat a man through midfield.
Yes. And
I think that committing of going past somebody, I mean, Chong did that quite a bit as well. I think Chong could look really good in this system.
I think there's one thing I noticed when Chong came on, he turned into the middle a lot, and I think Dalot looked a bit brighter when Chong came on with him. The problem is because there was no movement, there was nothing in the middle, because Pereira had ended up dropping for Fellaini and McTominay a lot.
One of the comments here, we've got George Nelly saying, second half McTominay was brilliant. Brilliant's a bit far, mate. And this is what I always disagree with a lot of people. Everyone's either shit or amazing, and sometimes you're in the middle. And I think probably McTominay was a bit in the middle today with it.
Yeah.
I thought in the first half, I thought him and Pereira were all over the place. Then he switched it. For the first half of the second half, he put Pereira on the right. And he played McTominay and Fred alongside each other, and both of their games improved for me in that instance, having that bit more structure to them and that more of a 4-2-3-1. Then obviously he brought the changes in. Pereira comes back into that deep line, and he actually improved a little bit more with that structure as well. Mata comes off, and you see the changes in there. It was just one of those games where we took the wind out of our own sails, and I think the press is key. One thing that I'm absolutely certain of is next Sunday against Spurs, it has to be a midfield of Matic, Herrera, Pogba, and it has to be Martial, Rashford, Lingard. There can be fuck all deviation from that.
I agree with that. If you're talking about, you can talk about Lukaku's influence off the bench and him actually, you know, getting the goals in the short amount of minutes that he got at the time. But if we look at a full game today against a side like Reading, when the ball was coming towards him, didn't do too well. But when the ball was knocked in behind him, showed us what he can do, knocked it past the keeper. But for now, you talk about the players who have proven under Ole, you've performed under Ole, and that has to be, even Herrera match, I wanted to make a point. When you're talking about the forward passes, you've got two examples of that. You got in the first game against Cardiff, Matic, brilliant pass across the midfield into Jesse. Jesse wins the penalty. That's creating a brilliant chance for us. Then you got Herrera the ball into Pogba, which he scores the goal off that, and as well gets another assist in the game before that. And that's the example of what those two players have done. Now, when you look at Fellaini, Matic, even Mata, unfortunately, I really like Mata, and I think when everything's going well for you in the pitch and he comes on and he can control the game, I think that's Mata's zone.
I don't mind seeing what he can do as a 10, and I don't mind seeing even what he can do even as an 8. Yeah. But I don't think we can play him wide right anymore.
100%
Not
agree.
If you want to play the system that I'm pretty sure Ole wants to play, which is that,
agree with that,
that pressing system, which. And this is now where you see a lot of issues at times when people just try to play the best players that you've got, because Mata is one of the best players that we've got. But if the system doesn't fit him, then the system doesn't fit him, and I don't think it fits Fellaini, and I don't think it fits McTominay. I think Pereira it could fit, and I think Fred it could fit. Today it just didn't look.
I think Fred needs to. We said this on Devils earlier. Fred needs to take a breather. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I feel like sometimes he wins the ball pretty well, puts in a good tackle, reads it well. Good passes, but I think sometimes he needs to just chill out a bit because he's been a bit rash.
Thomas Clark saying that, oh my God, guys, this was a patched up side with a lot of rust. It was, but the patched up was patched up with Alexis Sanchez, patched up with Juan Mata, patched up with Lukaku, patched up with international footballers that cost 50 million, like Fred, like Darmian. Like it was patched up, but it wasn't poverty. Do you know what I mean? It was a patched up team that should have cantered away with Reading. Reading are dog shit. They had dog shit in the Championship, and we're at the opposite end of them in the Premier League. Yes, we won. That's the positive. But let's not sit here and pretend that it was a decent performance. And let's not sit here and my main issue is that there's a lot of players here that are on the periphery of that team. And a lot of these players don't have shirts guaranteed, and they don't have starts guaranteed, and they don't have any minutes guaranteed to them. And this was the opportunity for them, and I'm including Sanchez and Lukaku in this. This was the opportunity for them to stake a claim at having a shirt on Saturday. Not one player in that team stood up and said, I deserve to play on Saturday. Not one. Not one person that started that game did I think that did. Elstan was collected today. Yeah, it was rocking. I think it took a little bit out of Stretford end, actually, because Stretford was a little bit quiet today because of that. Why do I think Ole Gunnar Solskjær didn't play Garner? I think because of the injury to Sanchez. I think that forced his hand.
Yeah. I'd have liked Garner ahead of McTominay. Cooler head, can pick out a pass.
I actually think Garner's better than McTominay.
Yeah, definitely. You watch both of them even at academy level, and you see the level of difference is huge between them.
Harry says, are we screwed if we lose Pog and or Matic to injury? But not totally screwed, but yeah, you're not going to have a better
You've seen what we've got today. I'm really worried about that defence, mate. Something has to come in January. They've got to spend the money, at least for a defender, because we've been good going forward. That Matic, Herrera, Pogba, Jesse, Martial, but that defence needs sorting.
Have we got a question for United Review? I believe we may have. Let's have a look at this one then. So that's from Leon. He says, Reading bypassed our midfield all game. Highlights the need for a backup for Matic. Time for an Ndombele bid. Hashtag United Review. If you've got some questions for us, bang them over on Twitter and we'll get some of those on screen for you. I am a big fan of Ndombele. We shot a video, what day was it? We shot it yesterday? I think we shot it yesterday. Highlighting 5 box-to-box midfielders. Ndombele is on that list. There's others on that list. If you'd like to see that, make sure you're subscribing. While you're subscribing, you might as well hit the like button. It's right next door. And you'll find out about all of those. We've got right backs one coming out this week, and maybe if you're good, we'll drop the midfielders one as well. I've got another question there off Twitter. So Joshua was on here last week with us. Thoughts on Fred tonight? Does he have a future in your eyes? Hashtag United Review. I thought he was poor.
I thought he was poor.
I'm not gonna write him off completely now, but I'm not gonna say he was good because he wasn't.
Needs to chill out on the ball, definitely, because I think sometimes he wins the ball back.
Like the video.
He just wins the ball back, and I think he's putting a great tackle here, or he intercepts the ball well, and then I just think like it just gets stuck under his feet, and he's moving so quick. I just think he needs to take a breather because he's shown us that couple of passes, he's got it in him. Now, that could be the pace of the Premier League. One of the lads earlier mentioned that you got Lindelof, who took a bit of time to settle in.
No, it's not. Lindelof didn't take time to settle in. Lindelof is still doing exactly what we saw him doing at Benfica, where he's vulnerable to certain types of ball, he's vulnerable to certain types of play. There's other types of play that he deals with very well. Lindelof hasn't adapted. He's just being Lindelof, and there is weaknesses in Lindelof's game. That's
not an argument. The point is he has looked better than last season. That's just the point that you've come from a different league. It can take your time. I think that's a fair argument.
But it's not adapting. He's still being him. He's just seeing. I think he's improved in certain areas, but he's still being him. That's good in areas and vulnerable in areas. Whereas what I'm seeing from Fred, I didn't see from Fred at Shakhtar. I saw Fred being able to take a touch, knock it past
in
people,
the Champions League as well against brilliant sides.
That's not what he's done.
We're just gonna have to see how that ends up with Fred.
There is a lot of people are talking about the deadwood in the team. There is a lot of there's just an absolute abundance of deadwood. Way too much.
I think we've got to deal with 2 or 3 right now if we want to sign anyone. There has to be 2 like right at the bottom of that pile.
It's very interesting to see. It's about as much that goes as well, because when you've got players. Let's just use Fellaini as an example. Now he's apparently someone that's looking at a move, which I find very interesting after just getting an extension. I find that sort of player the conundrum where he's not a starter and he's arguably not your first choice backup either. He's just kind of a squad player in and around the place, arguably taking up the room for somebody else in the squad. Be that a Pereira to come in and develop. Be that an Angel Gomez to come in and develop.
Even if you have your Pereira that comes ahead in that pecking order, then like you said, the Garners can come into a game like this and actually start, and I think they can have an effect on the side.
Do you know what Louis said, which I find massively interesting? Louis came into the dressing room and said, "There's 15 first team spaces. The other 10, I will fill from the academy for a 25-man squad." Yeah. So the academy players went, "Oh shit," and obviously I think he was well on his way to fulfilling that with the numbers he was doing. And he would have cut down into a thinner squad. Yeah. I think that probably needs doing at some point. We've got any more questions coming through? Get us your questions in. I'm going to go to the Patreon group and see what you guys are saying. Remember, this channel is supported by the absolute legends on Patreon. There's nearly 500 of them, and one sitting here behind the camera, just chilling. You can have that fan if you want, actually. I'm not going to have it. So if you want to find out what all Patreon is about, the link is in the description below. It's helped keep this channel going, and the camera has frozen. There we go, we're back. What I was about to say is, it's helping keeping all the production quality go up and up and up and up in here. Well, maybe I won't say that after it's just froze the camera. But yeah, if you want to find out what's going on with the Patreon, the link is in the description below. I'm going to come to them. These have got questions coming for us on here. Thoughts on Chong's performances, says Jay. The fucking Tory. First game, not the greatest game to come into either. In your mind, you think, get him on against Reading when you're 2-0 up. That's a great time to introduce him. But actually, the way the game went,
it's what was alongside him as well. It's what was alongside him as well. I thought every time he come into the middle, there was just the right movement wasn't there. I felt there was just loads of Reading players just compacting that midfield.
Ryan, if Jose was still in charge and we played that, how do you think people would be a lot hungrier than they are under Ole? Yeah. Because it's money in the bank, isn't it? That's the thing. You have performances like that on a regular derby, and all the multitude of performances.
The one thing I could say about that, though, is that we had too many games under Mourinho like that, where we just like, yeah, whatever, it's a win. But I think because within 5 games, our standards have gone a lot higher. Yes, we're Manchester United, but under Mourinho, we had way too many games like that today.
Rom's diet seems to have looked a lot leaner. I need to get on his diet. What do you make of Andreas so far this season as a whole? I don't think you can comment on him. I've not seen enough of him to really comment.
Yeah, he needs some
flashes of greatness, flashes of poor decision making, in equal measure probably. Yeah. What do you think of Pereira? I thought he gave the ball away quite a lot. Yeah, just like I said there, Dan. And how many players from today's team would you move on? That's very interesting. I could make a case for Damian. I could make a case for Young. I think you could make a case for Dalot. Obviously, a very young player. Not going to write him off yet, but he's not impressing me enough to get a first team shout. I can see why you might keep Jones around, but he shouldn't be first choice in a Premier League match. McTominay, I don't think he's good enough for this level. Period. And I think Juan Mata's probably at the end of his United career. A lot of these players could get moved on, I think.
Unless Mata plays in the 8, I think when you got a game where... I think this would have been the game, because Pogba's not playing, you put Mata in that position to create and get involved in the mix.
Maybe moving further back, but certainly
have a proper winger,
Andy Rodgers, how bad was Fred? Is it because he's not up to the English game, or is it because he's not been playing much? Probably a little bit of both. Jack, out of midfield 3, I wasn't looking forward to McMahon's, but he's probably the best of the 3. Can you see a long-term future for Fred or Pereira? Pereira, yeah, but he's got to get game time.
He's got to get those mistakes out of his system. You see it with those young midfielders that have got to be creative and clean up and do that. I think you've got to give him time. Even Herrera at times got a lot of critics of that when he first joined us. Yeah.
How many players that start this game are going to play for the rest of the season? Very similar to the ones that you get rid of. I think Young probably will feature quite a lot. Jones will feature quite a lot. I wouldn't expect to see much of Darmian. Dalot could come in, come out. I don't know what
Andreas, I think, could feature off the bench.
We got a question from United Review. Let's have a look at that one from Connor Mulvaney. With all the controversy towards Fellaini, do you think he still offer a lot more? Do you not think he still offer a lot more than McTominay? Neither are United quality, and we need depth. I think you just summed it up yourself. Neither are really United quality, and fundamentally, I think the way our midfield is playing with sharp, incisive football doesn't really suit either of them.
Yeah, there's just straight no for both of them, to be honest.
Can we realistically beat Spurs? Yeah, we can realistically beat Spurs. Yeah. It's going to be a hell of a game. I think it'll be a shootout. I don't think there's going to be a clean sheet in the house.
Yeah.
Bank on 0-0. Isn't it amazing how most of our fan base were slating Rashford and now they love him? What's Ollie changed about his game? Ollie's given Rashford confidence. I don't think he's changed his game at all. I think he's just put his arm around him, told him he's important, because I actually don't think Jose really give a shit about Marcus.
Yeah.
I think he had to use him because he was there, but I don't think he used him because he liked him. I think he used him because he had him. I don't really... I think those... he was player of the month for me last month, Marcus. And even from the Fulham game onwards, he was doing all of that. He was actually pressing on his own when the rest of the team wasn't.
I wanted to mention this on last week's review, but I think Marcus 6-7 weeks ago was doing exactly the same thing, making those runs in the channel. We spoke about it all the time. No one picks him out.
No.
Does this, does that. He misses one chance, and that's all everyone wants to focus on, and all Mourinho wants to do is sit around and moan.
Enough of the chances.
And then Ollie comes in, and that's how you fill a player in with confidence. He says, Marcus made a lot of runs in there that we need to start picking out.
Yeah.
And then the onus is on the creative players around him to pick those passes out, and that's how you fill your striker with confidence. Tino
says, worst performance so far under Ole, far too slow in transition and pressing was poor. Was it the squad players? Was it the squad players aren't up to standard? I don't know. I completely agree with everything you said though. Far too slow in transition. Pressing was non-existent, I would like to say.
Yeah,
the midfield didn't press. The attack didn't press.
You can't press with those.
It just
players.
Totally took
it's
it
not
off.
Their game.
I don't think that was orders, because if you look at what Ole, like United reported Ole as saying this game was going to go as, he told them press from the off. Pressure.
That's
from
not
the
these guys'
pressure.
games though. Matic, Fellaini, McTominay.
So I think it was the players either aren't up to standard or didn't do as they was ordered to.
Yeah.
I think you see a whole. I mean, I think, and I also hope you see a whole different United come Sunday, because that's always been the test. The test has been, let's see how we do in these 5 games. It's 5 winnable games. Can we win 5? Let's hope we can win 5. But no one was ever sitting there going, "Oh, he's going to win all 5 of them games. Don't worry about it." Now he has won all 5 of them games. That's mission accomplished. But now he's got that one game against Spurs where the scrutiny is going to be right on.
Yeah.
If we get dicked, people are going to say he's not got the experience, he's not got this, that, and the other. But what if he beats him? What if he beats him?
Says a lot about the United job, innit?
Matthew says, a very disjointed Jose performance, excluding slight moments of quality. Was this a result of the unfamiliarity within the 11 or the quality and mentality of most of the players? Like a similar question to Tino's. Pretty much, yes. I think there was. I also agree that it was a very Jose-like performance, and what highlighted it for me was that midfield. Even though I know that midfield can do better than it did, that midfield wasn't taking risks. It wasn't energetic. It wasn't pressing, and it was really fucking sloppy.
Yeah.
How many of those players, just that we had that question before, do you think we all got carried away expecting loads of goals and loads of youth players when all they got appointed? Had expected Greenwood to get a chance by now and therefore to be more minutes for Angel and Chong. I mean, that comment about get ready for Reading was a fucking lie from the Mirror.
There was not one quote
There was nothing out of that. That guy just was like, I'm just going to make this up.
Clickbait, innit?
And everyone fell for it because no one read the article. I clicked the article, read it, and went, did I click the right article?
Yeah.
Like, that says nothing about what that fucking headline says. As much as, I'm fucking driving the bandwagon for Mason Greenwood. I'd love to see the guy get minutes. I'm sure you're going to see him get minutes this season. There's no player more deserving of minutes than Mason Greenwood ever in the history of the academy. Ever. He's banging on the door so loud that it's annoying everyone. But his time will come. There is a pedigree and a pecking order to how you get your debut at United. Quite often, the Jimmy Murphy Player of the Year gets their debut next. Chong won it, didn't get his debut. Chong shouldn't have won it. Jimmy Garner should have won it. So Chong has just got his debut. Now, if you're doing it by rights, Jimmy Garner should be the next one to get his debut. Angel got minutes because he was the previous winner. Mason's going to win it. It's an absolute shoo-in. If he doesn't, he's pissed somebody off.
It's going to kick off in now.
It's going to go off. Yeah, tables are going over.
Tables are flipping a lot.
But Mason will get his time. There is a pecking order. Jimmy Garner's captained United at every single age group. He deserves his chance. But he's better than McMahon's. And he'll get his chance when he deserves it. When it's time. Have we got a question coming through? I think we've got a question. Let's have a look at the question. Pressure's on now for Will, as everybody's watching what we're doing. Hot take here from RK says, for me, Sanchez is done. I say sell him in the summer and bring in a world-class right winger. Marshall has taken the left wing spot.
I think you got to give him to the end of the season under a new manager, innit? But with movement,
I think he'll be good under Solskjaer eventually.
I think he will.
He's took a knock on it today, so I don't think you're going to see him at weekend.
We've seen how Tony moved over to the right to assist Marcus the other day and get involved a lot in that first half. I think it was the Huddersfield or the Bournemouth game. I think Sanchez can be that, where he can flourish and rotate in the positions that he wants to come into.
I think he can do the job Jesse can do, and arguably he's got a better finish than Jesse. Dan, thoughts on Rom? Looks like he belongs on a charity advert now. What the fuck does that mean? Brian McD says, is Ole our best ever manager now? Was tied with some Matt at 4 games, right? I don't know. We asked Adam earlier before, didn't he? He goes, he's beat some Matt Busby's record, and was like, all right, well, he's tied Matt Busby's. How many does Busby get? And he's like, I don't know. I was like,
stop giving them half stats, man. Yeah.
I guess we could find out, but yeah, 5 straight. If he makes it 6, 30-year contract time. Can I explain what McMahon's does for the team? No.
Nothing.
I got a good story about where his trophy come from though, for Player of the Year that Jose made up that night. Is Fred struggling not fitting into the system and being bought because City wanted him? I don't think so. I don't think that's got anything to do with him. Do you think it's a coincidence? I mean, Robbie Van Persie was wanted by City, so was Berbatov. Made fuck all difference. Do you think it's a coincidence that we always look flat when Rom starts for us? I really want him to get back to his best, but he doesn't really seem that arsed when he plays. I don't know if he's not arsed, but he don't look good. Definitely don't look good. I think Marcus has took his starting spot for the moment. I think that's absolutely fair.
Yeah.
James, what did you make of Sanchez's performance? Going forward, he looked quick, direct, hoping he only picked up a slight injury. Yeah, I think he'll be good. I think he'll come through. If Ole's style and tactics is to play fast and press, why does he give game time to McTominay, Rom and Mata? I think today was a lot about giving those opportunities to players to see what they could do. And I honestly don't think any of them took that starting place. Got another question here. Let's have a look. Feel Herrera, Lindelof and Lingard are so important despite doing some more of the invisible work. You always get that with teams, don't you? You always get players that are less fancy. People don't get him. Michael Carrick is almost a prime example of people didn't get him almost till the day he retired.
I think for title winning sides, you've got to look at even Fernandinho at City. A lot of the plaudits always go to De Bruyne and Silvers, and you see what he does against Liverpool. Comes in 2 games, they miss him, they lose 2 games. A lot of players are like that. Liverpool? They lost, didn't they? Apparently, there's a journalist saying the grass was too long and Pep did it on purpose.
Can you fucking imagine?
Like a proper established journalist said that. They're the most deluded fan base.
Liverpool
shadow
go long fucking ball, whether they like to admit it or not. That is how they play. It's fine. Whatever you have to do to win football games is fine.
The funny thing he said is that
they knock it around like
he said that we couldn't play quick football because Pep allowed the grass to grow.
They bypass the midfield and they go long into the channels. That's what they do. Whether they like to admit it or not, that is how Liverpool play football. and it fucking works for them. I'm not criticising what they do, but their fucking delusion that doesn't admit what they fucking do is mental.
It's a joke.
It's like the season before last, Manchester City held possession around their two centre-halves and their goalkeeper. That was who had the most passes in their team. That little triangle of players there. Then last season they moved that up and then they held possession in midfield because of Fernandinho, and that was when they was fucking invincible. They were so fucking good when they held that. This season it's gone back a little bit again. They're not quite hitting the same beats. Just be honest about the way you play. It's as simple as that. In other news, I've got an MMA podcast out with a UFC prospect, Brendan Loughnane, that you definitely need to go and check over on MMA Latest, or head over to my Twitter and get the link as well. There's going to be loads of MMA content coming out on MMA Latest. Definitely go and check that. Give Abdullah a follow. When was the last time you did a YouTube video?
I'm not doing one for a bit.
Wanker.
Been too busy.
Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, and there's probably a transfer talk coming out on Monday, and then there's a shortlist for right backs, centre mids, and all sorts of stuff scheduled in for next week. So make sure to subscribe if you've not already. Get it liked, get your comments in. I'll see you in the next one. Laters.